A very busy day.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning,
Hey,
Christophe.
Jean-Marc,
Good morning,
welcome.
Jean-Patrick.
Good
Where
morning.
are you, John Patrick? In Redmond as well?
Yeah, just
I'm in Charlotte. I'm in North Carolina, so I'm on the East Coast. So it's
Oh,
or mid morning for
okay.
me, and so I don't, it's not too bad yet. So we're gonna take a quick break. Jean Marc is here. We'll get them all set up, and we will be back. We will be back in
Yeah.
just a minute. We are back, and we have our good friend Jean Marc here with us, who works on the Microsoft.identity.web library, which, if you've been a regular viewer, has been a hot topic and a really awesome topic. Everybody seems to love it. So good afternoon, Jean Marc.
Good morning, John Patrick and Christophe. I'm
hi.
thinking.
It's great to have you here.
Th th Thanks for joining us all the way from
Thank you.
France.
From France, yeah.
I
Was a
miss
long trip.
Europe. I miss Europe.
Yeah. You are a bit stuck in the US at the moment. I am a bit stuck in Europe.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. I forgot that we can travel. It was just a distant memory of me walking around Paris and enjoying my time there. It's been a while,
Yeah, we
actually.
we can't even
But
come and visit. So
yeah, true.
No, 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 no.
Maybe ne next time when the borders open, we can fly over and do a live stream from
there we go.
France. I'm,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
that
I'm
would be
sure.
cool.
I'm sure our minds are one mind.
Oh, that's possible. That's possible. Okay. So Microsoft Identity Web, you want to know about Microsoft Identity Web?
We do.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about
Okay.
yourself and what you
Okay.
do in the team, right?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm a program manager in the identity division, like you too. I'm more on the product group side, and in particular the SDK for authentication. So mostly the token acquisition SDK for .NET, MSAL.NET, Microsoft Identity Web, which is a higher level. I mean, that's all the topic of what I'm going to describe today. And a bit middleware also. The middleware being the SDKs which validate the tokens. You know,
Hmm.
when you have a token, a web API, or even a web app for the ID token, you validate it to be sure that the token is legit. So that's what middleware do. And on the client side, the clients can be also APIs, by the way, but they act as a client. You request a token to call an API, a protected API. So I'm working on these SDKs, mostly
Nice.
for .NET, and some end-to-end, including the web end-to-end, which is from which Microsoft Identity Web is part of. So then, about Microsoft Identity Web, you probably know that if you are a user of ASP.NET Core 3.1 today, you can create web apps and web API with templates. And the way you do it is .NET new web app, for example, for a web app, and then you add this minus minus auth single org if you want to create a web app that would sign in users with Azure AD, with the Azure AD, the V1 endpoint. That's the command line route, and there is also, you probably know it, a way with Visual Studio where you create a new project. Then the trick is this thing that is not very visible, the change button. Then you say, okay, work or school account. You decide in which tenant you are. And then not only you will have code generated, but that will also register an application with Azure AD. So the experience in Visual Studio is, from this point of view, a bit better. However, what happens is Visual Studio and .NET Core 3.1 create web apps and web API that target the Azure AD V1 endpoint, which is on the deprecation path. So that's not great. And the code which is generated is not fully secure. So let me give you an example. When you use a multi-tenant application, because it's complicated, it says, oh, validate issuer is false. And validate issue means you don't validate the thing that has created the token. So that's not great in terms of security. And then the code which is generated uses some libraries, Azure AD UI and Azure AD B2C UI, which are not compatible with other identity providers like Google, Facebook. So if you create a web app, an ASP.NET Core web app, and you want to mix all that, that's possible, but that's not possible with the current template. So that was a problem. And then, and that's the big thing, you have a web app. Now you want to call a web API from your web app, and that's hell. It's super complicated.
Yep.
It's super,
I like that.
It's super complicated.
Hell.
It's hell. It's super complicated because you have to master ASP.NET Core, which you might discover for the first time, and with its dependency injection and all kind of subtle things and the way you set options. You have to master the middleware, so identity model, because it's about token validation. I mean, you have a token, you will receive a token one way or the other, and there are events to subscribe to, and then you want to master another bit, which is msal.net, to acquire tokens for your downstream APIs. And you need to glue all that together, and that's a science. And many have tried, and many have kind of failed. I mean, this is not very, very secure. Usually, when you see what people do, this because it's way too complicated. This
is what JP calls the failure to fall in the pit of success.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And the reason, so I summarize here, on top of .NET Core, you have identity model, then you have the ASP.NET Core authentication layers, then msal.net to acquire a token. And when you want to just do your application, you need to provide glue code, and it's complicated. Yeah. So what we did historically, we saw that and we struggled. One of the things I did with other people, Kalyan in particular and his team, we created samples to show how to use authentication, how to, and when we were in the domain of desktop samples or mobile samples, that was okay. That was using msal.net. When we went in the domain of web apps and web API with ASP.NET MVC classical, that was okay. ASP.NET Core, that became really complicated. So we've decided to create reusable C# projects in the samples, and I named it Microsoft Identity Web.cs proj. And we had 3 samples: the web app tutorial, incremental tutorial, the web API incremental tutorial, and the daemon incremental tutorial, because the daemon was calling a web API also. So we had three big samples, like mega samples, because they have several chapters, and they were using this project. And I mean, we had some customers who were starting using that in production. We know some friends in the UK who we've been using in all their projects. They were using Microsoft Identity Web. Pretty scary. That was a sample quality code. I mean, it's okay, but written by PMs. And then even first-party partners, so for example, Power Apps have made a bed, but they said, okay, but we want that as a Nugget package. And yeah, there are good reasons for that, because basically what was happening is copy-paste of code. And people were pretty good at following up with the changes we were making, but that's not ideal. And also, we had to sync all these versions of the project between the samples. So that was not a great story, to be clear. So some time spent, because we are Microsoft, we need to convince people that we need to invest in that, or whatever. In February, we got a kind of go from our leadership team to end of February to do some work to release a Nugget package. And so we produced a public preview. And then we are working toward GA, which will happen this week. So this is exciting. This is the week where the GA of Microsoft, the general availability of Microsoft Identity Web will happen. And it's interesting also that we were really driven by customers, in the sense that people came to us and say, okay, that doesn't do that, can it do that? And then we tried to prioritize helping people unblocking themselves. And we discovered new scenarios like Blazor. We had no idea what that was, but that was very hot. And actually, I had not at all prioritized it. But it turns out that we have .NET 5, which is around the corner. You know, in November, that will GA as well, merging .NET Core, .NET Framework, and maybe Xamarin and so on. So that's a big step forward. And the ASP.NET Core team were aware of our efforts, so we worked together. And it turns out that as we were providing templates for Microsoft Identity Web, they are replacing in .NET 5 the templates that ASP.NET Core provided so far. So in .NET 5, when you do a .NET New web API, for example, that's using Microsoft Identity Web. And And inside Visual Studio as well, I'll show you if we have time, because I have a time constraint at did I say 8?
8-hour time.
Yeah, 8.
For your time.
Yeah, 5 my time.
5 your time.
5 my time. So, so in terms of story, for example, something which happens is one of our partners is the services which run the antivirus, and for example, they needed the certificate like for next week, support for certificate, because I mean, inside Microsoft, we are not going to use client secrets when you call a web API. We always use certificates, and they are fetched from Key Vault. So, and we've worked with them actually. I mean, we've proposed something. We've worked with them, and that's the way a certificate went out of the ground quite quickly. And it's used by several partners. I was talking about templates, so that's the span of Microsoft Identity Web, but also ASP.NET Core supports. So the scenarios you have, you can create a web API, and today you do .NET New Web API when you are in ASP.NET Core. But if you are in Microsoft Identity Web, you can download the templates separately. You can download them from NuGet and install them, and then you will just add a 2 to the name which are provided by ASP.NET, and that will give you the equivalent in .NET Core 3.1, because today ASP.NET Core people have not provided templates for .NET Core 3.1, which would use Microsoft Identity Web. In .NET 5, you don't need to do the 2 at all. That will be de facto the Microsoft Identity Web templates.
Nice.
So,
very nice.
And if you look at this part, that's what is provided today by ASP.NET Core. They provide web API, an MVC web app, so pretty old, a Razor web app, more recent, and then they have this new beast which is named Blazor, so with 3 flavors. One is Blazor Server, and that's really a web app. So, you don't necessarily guess that that's a web app. Blazor WebAssembly, and that's really a single page application.
Yep.
And then there is another flavor, which is Blazor WebAssembly with hosted, with a hosted web API. When you say minus hosted, that's a hosted web API. So you have the SPA and the web API. So
you're missing something here. Okay. gRPC, my friend.
Okay, gRPC. Yeah, does gRPC need to be, has it something to do with Microsoft Identity Web, with Azure AD? I would think it's more a service, or do you think it has something to do?
I think it does, because it has some weird requirements. I did do a blog post, so I was playing around with gRPC and see if we can stick Ident Web there. I mean, that's fun, breaking things, and it works out of the box. It works fantastically with the latest 4.0, and we do have a blog post out. So I think we need to update these, because it's part of the ASP.NET Core family, right, of services. So
yeah. Would you mind raising an issue on the Microsoft Identity Web repo, and then with the link to your blog post, and we will study that. Not for GA, of course, because we are not going to do that for tomorrow.
Yeah, this is how we do it, people. Live on the show. We're adding PRs.
giving other people work live. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, love it. Yeah, we'll make sure that this makes it in the repo, because we want to make sure that people are aware that we cover everything.
Absolutely. And then, so in ASP.NET, you do minus audience and single org, multi-org, and individual B2C, because that also supports Azure AD B2C for the for signing in users with social accounts. And what Microsoft Identity Web adds is the fact of calling graph. So all that is all good. That's web APIs that sign in users and protect web apps that sign in users and protected web APIs. Ready? That's what that does. But then it also adds templates that enable you to call Microsoft Graph. So that's a big plus. It's magic. The way you call Microsoft Graph is really simple, and call web API. I mean, I think it's magic. That was my dream. But there are a few things like, of course, you are not going to call Graph when you are B2C, and multi-org for web API didn't exist for ASP.NET Core, so we haven't added it. We could actually. But I'm going to skip that to show the features when you had ASP.NET Core templates, you could create web apps that signing users protect Web API and support B2C, but that didn't support Microsoft personal accounts, for example. So that's supported by Microsoft Identity Web. The issuer validation in case of multi-tenant application didn't happen. You had validate issuer equal false in the template. No, not great. Then you could call web APIs or graph, but yeah, that was really complicated to do. You had client secrets, but you didn't have certificate credentials. So you know that an application that calls a web API, when it's a web app or a web API, that's named a confidential client, and therefore it needs to prove its identity to Azure AD. It does it with either a client secret or a certificate or a signed assertion. So certificates, as I was saying, are a must. Then another thing is with Azure AD, you have this notion with the Azure AD, the Microsoft Identity Platform, because all these templates, I forgot, and that's pretty important, they also target the Azure AD V2 endpoint, which is the Microsoft Identity Platform endpoint, the one that everybody should use now. So out of the box, this is the case. But this endpoint has something a bit special, which is that it enables an incremental consent, meaning the application can ask for consent for scopes, for example, to call graph. And then another part of the application will need, for example, the application shows the user profile, and then it will need to send an email. It is possible for the application to request the user to just now, at the moment of accessing the email stuff, to ask the user to consent for email. And that was also very difficult to do and left as an exercise for the developer. And it involves using the challenge API, which means you will need to request more scope. So ask the user to resigning basically and accept the scopes. And when you accept these scopes, you know that when you sign in, you basically enter your credentials, accept scopes, and then also you can do multi-factor authentication. You will do it before. And this is the same process as incremental consent, really. It's about resigning in the user, challenging the user. So that's handled automatically by Microsoft Identity Web with a small attribute. Then Microsoft Identity Web leverages Managed Identity, for example, to fetch certificates from Key Vault automatically. Managed Identity, I'm not going to elaborate too much, but basically, when you have a secret, when you have you want to get a certificate to prove the identity of your application. To get a certificate, you need to go to Key Vault, and to get to Key Vault, you need to have to prove the identity of your application. So that's a bit of a circle where how do you do? Because you need one secret. Managed Identity provides a kind of secret for the machine or for the developer, and that's the way it happens. Then it supports also encrypt certificates, so meaning a web API in Azure AD V2 can request that the tokens it will receive are encrypted. So that means in that case, it should be able to decrypt it. It happens only with a certificate in that case. So that's and then the last thing, and that was about security, a web API should always validate the roles and the app role in the case of web APIs called by daemon applications. And that was not done so far. So the new template do show it. And this one is a bit extra. In a web API, because there is no user interaction, you are not going to have incremental consent by resigning in the user. What you have to do is send a message to the client that the client has to perform this incremental consent or conditional access step up to the user. So that's the way it is proposed.
Yeah, it's what you haven't said here, and what our audience needs to know is that most of the stuff that you describe are one-liners. I don't know if you're going to show any code.
Actually, that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, I stole your thunder. Sorry.
No. So you see, that's the API, and indeed that's one-liner. So, for example, you want to build a web app. That's the way you do. You say, okay, add authentication, OpenID Connect, because we are standard. So it's about doing the same thing as everybody does in the ASP.NET Core world. Actually, there is a shortcut which is add Microsoft Identity Web Authentication, which does everything. And then if you want to build a web API, that's the same, but you replace web app by web API. You do that, up, you sign in user on the left, and your API is protected on the right. I haven't mentioned the configuration, but we'll see that. Now, if incrementally you want your web app or your web API, and that's the same thing to call downstream API, to call API, you just say that enable token acquisition to call downstream API. That enables all kind of, using MSAL and so on. And then because it's using, it has some tokens, you need to specify which kind of cache you want to use, in memory or distributed. And you might be fine with in-memory cache if you develop and if you don't care that the token cache is clear. It's time to restart the application. But for production, it's not really advisable. And then now, if the web API you want to call is Microsoft Graph, you just add one line, add Microsoft Graph. And then you fetch, you can, no obligation, fetch some configuration for Graph from a configuration section. If it's not Microsoft Graph, you can do .add downstream web API, and you give it a name, which you will reference from your controllers or your Razor pages or your Blazor pages, and you give the configuration. You can not give the configuration, but it's better to give it. In terms of distributed cache, what Microsoft Identity Web does is it's just an adapter, and then you can use all the distributed caches provided by .NET Core, which are in-memory distributed, Stack and Change, Cosmos DB, and distributed SQL. So that's pretty cool. You have the choice of your implementation.
Very nice. And if I am correct, both Graph and downstream APIs are registered with the service, which means that they're injectable into your controllers later on to call them, right?
Exactly.
Or did I steal your thunder again?
Which we are going to see immediately. Oh, you're right.
Christos, we're about to put you on mute.
Yeah, maybe it's
no, that's good. No, that's okay. That's the first time I show these slides, by the way. So it gives me an idea of what I should set to present. That's the configuration.
Come on.
Pretty classical, the configuration. Now, if you, in addition, you want to call an API, you need to provide a client secret, because that becomes a confidential client, or a client certificate. And then if you want to use the Graph SDK or the downstream API helper, you can specify things. You can specify, here I'm calling an API, this API actually, and this API calls the graph. So that's the way you would specify the scopes and the URL where you want to call things.
Oh, very nice.
So that B2C, what does it change? Almost nothing. That's this Azure AD B2C here, and the configuration, which is there. And it's the configuration now as policies. That's all. All the rest is exactly the same. We've made sure that that's the same. And now what happens in the controller? So that's a controller for a web app. If you don't have you have authentication, but if you don't call a web API, and that's a controller for the API this time. And the first thing to notice is I mentioned security-wise, you want to validate scopes. So that's done by one line, verify user has any accepted scopes, and that's actually a collection or one scope, but that's the way you do it. So you have to validate scope. And the second thing is, now that you validate scope, if you want to call the graph, the only thing you do is you inject the graph service client, so from the Graph SDK, by dependency injection in your controller, and you use it. That's it. That's all. That's all you have to do, because you have done this add Microsoft Graph in the startup.cs.
It's freaking awesome. I love it. Check out,
okay.
Maybe 5 lines of code there to do all of that, right? Plus the configuration, which doesn't
count. Yeah. The configuration is not very complicated. And remember, the templates will give you that for free anyway. So here I'm building showing what the API is, but the template will give you that for free. If you do -- call graph, that will be done. All that will be done for free. If you want to call a web API, this time, web API which is not graph, you can use iDownstream API, which you get because you said in the startup.cs add downstream web API, and you use it this way, and it has some overrides which are strongly typed. So in that case, this action will directly return a collection, an enumerable of data structure, which is here a to-do item, which more item that you would have in the to-do list. And that says, that's references to the configuration. You remember maybe in your startup.cs, I said, okay, the name that you will reference from the controller. So that's this name. That would be an entry object. So because here it could be anything. You could have entry and output. An API is basically a function. You say, okay, I give that and I get something in return. Here it's just that we don't give anything, and that are a few options that you can use to provide the relative path, but also the verb, HTTP verb, etc. And more things. In the case of B2C, you could use the policy. But this is pretty simple. Daemon application, so application that call a web API on their own. For example, for a web API which would be called from a daemon application, in that case you don't validate scopes, you validate roles. So there is an equivalent verb, and that's it. And then when you want to call a web API on behalf of yourself, you have another verb. It's no longer call web API for user async, but call web API for app async. The rest is the same. So that's the level to which we have managed to simplify things.
Yeah, that's pretty significant. I mean, that's a huge simplification of what we're used to doing.
Yes, I think so. So I have a hard stop. Actually, I had a hard stop 4 minutes ago. I will come back if I'm invited, if you want to know more and have more demos. But I thought that just showing the code with slides would be helpful to start with. As I said, that's shipped in .NET 5, and that will be in .NET Core 3.1. But anyway, we provide the templates for 3.1. File new project in Visual Studio leverages the templates. So there is a subtlety when you do file new project. If you install the .NET 5 SDK, you will see two web APIs. There are two instances of them. So maybe I can show that. I will move my. Okay, Visual Studio is sleeping a bit. Okay. That's the dialog. So if I do a new ASP.NET Core web application...
You're not sharing your screen. Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I think, but there is a little delay. So when I do new ASP.NET Core application, and if I say create, then you will have, so that creates the solution, and that will tell you, okay, what do you want to create? What do you want to create? An API, an MVC, etc. So when Visual Studio wakes up, okay. So you see, I have empty, but here I have two web API and two web app. Why is it so? Look at that. Author, Microsoft, source, template 3.1.9. So that's ASP.NET Core 3.1. And this one is CLI v50, etc. So that's Net5, and that's the Microsoft Identity Web Template. So if I created the application here, that would use the Microsoft Identity Web Template. Unfortunately, you don't have an option to set that you want to use Graph or call an API. Having said that, you've understood with the slide that this is simple. So you can do it yourself.
Yeah.
And then the rest, I'm not going to mention.
Let's keep something for the next time.
Yeah, that's right. Well, this is awesome. And we've gotten a bunch of comments from folks about how much they love this new library and love seeing it, and it makes their lives so much easier. So it's this is definitely a home run. It's been a wildly popular topic for us, and even today we've got more folks talking about how much they love going and taking a look at it and how much it simplifies their life. So this is awesome. Thank you, Jean-Marc.
Yeah. I mean, something we could do maybe in the future, if you're interested, is take a specific topic where there is some pain for users and show how we could do it with Microsoft Identity Web, or what kind of features we will want to add.
Absolutely.
I mean, if people want, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, for sure. We'd love to have it. Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
We can even build a feature online while we're doing it.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay,
Perfect.
okay. Well, that was great being with you. I need to jump because I'm already late to my next.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time. We'll definitely have you back. We appreciate you jumping on the call with us. And we will see you soon.
Okay. Thank
Have
you,
a lovely day.
Christos. Thank you, John Patrick.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jean-Marc. See ya.
But we are not leaving. We're staying here. We got 2 more hours of fun and games with Asman now, where we switch gears.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a quick break, get set up for that, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Correct. Back in 2 minutes.